Hello, and welcome to the inaugural Warhammer Wednesday here on Paladin Gaming. We are going to, today I am working on, and models are not going to be the frequent subject, because frankly my army's already huge and I don't add to it very much. However, today I'm working on magnetizing some Bullgryns. And just to show you, I've already done one. And here, I'll hold it up to the camera here. So here's the body, and of course, obviously it's not painted. But I have magnets on the arms. So I can swap weapons and shields. Here's the maul. Here's the shield arm, and I have a magnet in there, and I can swap between the slab shield or the brute shield and then magnetize the whole arm to the body. Come on. There we go. I made this prototype using 2mm magnets. I think it needs 3mm just to be safe. It will stay, but sometimes it has a hard time getting on there. Because even though they're infantry, these are big boys. There we go. Now, to show you the process, I don't know how well this is going to work, but so here's a body that I put together. It has no, that's not magnetized yet. This is the next one I'm going to work on. And how I do that. Here inside the shoulder joint of the arm is a big cavity that's suitable for putting a magnet in. And I line this up with the body. I put it there how I would if I was gluing it on. And I can look and see about where the deepest point of that cavity lines up with the body. So I have here a pin vise. And it looks like it is right there behind. So I have a pin vise here, and I just put the drill on there and start drilling. Where it wants to be on this one's kind of an awkward place. It's going to take me a second to drill the. And drilling is going to take several minutes, so we are going to cut here and I will start up once the drilling process is complete and show you how the rest of this works. All right, so I have just drilled through to the central cavity of the Bullgryns body. Now, we take a magnet. I have here some Mod FX rare earth magnets. This is a 2mm booster pack, and honestly I do not recommend these because, as you might be able to see, I'll hold the stack up here to the camera. I don't know if it'll focus on that. There we go, kinda. The magnets kind of come apart. They're basically full of ferrous powder, and they come apart inside a thin metal shell, and they fall apart under their own pressure when they're in a stack for too long. These have been in my miniatures case for a good 3-4 years, and this has just kind of happened to them. But there's still enough there that's usable that I'm going to use them, but I wouldn't buy this brand. And I already have some prepared here. They're stuck on the side of this little hobby wrench for the and to keep track of the polarity, I have a red Sharpie here, and I just mark the top of the stack, and when I pull this off I'll mark the next one, and that way I know that colored does not attract colored and can keep track of the magnets that way. Now to get it to stay in there, I got some green stuff here that I mixed up a couple minutes ago and I kept in water to keep it from hardening. I'm going to finish off just a little bit. Drop it back in the water so it doesn't harden. Put it over our drill hole here. Put it over the drill hole here. Stuff it in there, and now I'm going to put the magnet. It'll turn out. So mark a new one red and take the magnet and shove it in the hole. And there we are. As you can see, the magnet is now in the hole on the shoulder joint. Now to make the arm match up with that, get some additional magnets. Now since the shoulder joint has more room, I'm using a larger 3mm magnet for the inside of the shoulder joint to give it more gripping power, because my prototype there does not have all of the gripping power that I want. So mark the polarity. And having done that, we get to our green stuff back out the water. We stuff it into the shoulder joint here. Might have to mix more. No, that'll do. Having done that, rather than painstakingly measure and line up, we've just put the magnet on the shoulder joint and press the green stuff into it such that the shoulder lines up with the joint like it's supposed to. And that leaves an impression in the green stuff, and then I can take the magnet and just put it in that impression. And there we go. As you can see, the shoulder is now clamping right on there. And we just continue to do that with the other arms. That's the Bullgryn Maul, and we'll do the same thing with the Grenadier Gauntlet. Alright, and here we are. I have just finished setting the Grenadier Gauntlet's magnet. So as you can see, we can magnetize the Grenadier Gauntlet or the Maul. Now the shield arm, as you can see, the shield arm has a big old cavity inside the handle, and either shield, the brute shield or the slab shield, made up to it, and they also have their own cavity and both cavities can accommodate a magnet, which saves us an awful lot of drilling. So I can put the pin vise aside. And also, on my prototype here, I magnetized the shield arm, but if they're just going to be Bullgryns, you don't need to do that, because the arm is the same for both shields. The only reason you'd need to do that is if you were going to also magnetize them to be Ogrins and thus use the Ripper gun. But if you do that, the Ripper guns will not fit over the Bullgryn armor. So if you do that, you have to find some way to make the take the armor on and off, and that's just too much of a pain in the rear for me to want to do right now, because it's thin and isn't going to accommodate magnets very well. I pretty much have to do it with sticky tack every game. So instead of going to the trouble, I'm just going to glue the shield arm on with good old plastic glue. So To do this, I'm gonna have to mix up some more green stuff. And if you're not familiar with green stuff, I thought I'd just cover this while I'm doing it. It's this Magnetize brand, but it's this blue-yellow epoxy. And when you mix these together, one's a putty and one's a hardening agent. When you mix these together in roughly equal portions and roll them together, it turns green. And once they're mixed together, it hardens hard as a rock pretty quick. You have probably about 24 hours before it's fully set, but to work with, you want to do it pretty quick after mixing. So there's some yellow, and I get some blue here. And if you're doing conversion work, or this is intended as sculpting putty, but if you're doing conversion work, this is better than any glue if you're willing to wait. And for magnets, super glue can turn brittle and the magnet will burst right out of it. So that's why I'm doing it with green stuff. You want to always keep it sealed up because the presence of fresh air will also make it harden. So as you can see, I got the blue and the yellow here in a little bead, and dip it in water to make it easier to work with, and just roll it together to blend the two. And there we are, a fresh bead of green stuff. So I haven't glued on the shield arm yet because it's easier to work with the green stuff when it's not attached to the body. So the reason I'm making new is because that was hardened. So I just stuff that full of green stuff, stick a magnet in it, stuff that full of green stuff, and stick a magnet in it. Mark polarity again so that don't accidentally make them repel each other, because that'd be bad. And I just plunge that into our green stuff here. I try to get it centered. Easiest way to do that, I have here a pair of plastic tweezers so the magnet doesn't interact with it, and I just lost the magnet. That's okay. Because I got more magnets and I'll retrieve that from the floor here in a second. Don't need to make you watch that. So anyway, I put the magnets there on the green stuff, try to center it up. And I just push it in. And fill in a little so that it doesn't pop out. But you don't want to bury it too deep because distance decreases the magnetic force. So we mark that, and now we do the same thing on the shield. Here's the slab shield. We'll fill this chamber up with green stuff. Take the magnet here, stick it right there to make sure it's lined up right. Yep, the red needs to be facing outward. So fit that in there hard to get the green stuff molded to allow it to work before. Yeah, there's too much green stuff in there, so I had to scrape some of this out, but that's okay. It'll work. It's always good to dry fit before you. It's always good to dry fit before before everything's dried and you find you can't make it work anymore. So there we are. So let's wait for that. While we're waiting for that to dry, we will also do the same for the brute shield, and it's pretty much the same process. And there we go. This is the arm we just finished. The green stuff's not dry yet, but it's dry enough for me. It's not set yet, but it's dry enough for me to demonstrate. So there we have brute shield and slab shield on there, solid as a rock. I have to pull it fairly hard to get it to stay, to get it to come apart. So now we're just going to glue the shield arm onto the body, and we're pretty much done with the magnetization part. All that'll be left is the rest of the building and painting. And here we are. Here's the body of the Bullgryn we've been working on. This focus. Here's the body of the Bullgryn we've been working on. His shield arm's glued on. Let me just put on the slab shield or the brute shield. And for his weapon arm, we have a choice of Bullgryn Maul or Grenadier Gauntlet. And from here, I'll just paint him and put the armor on. I'm going to paint before putting the armor on because the armor has gaps you can see underneath, and so I want to paint it while it's easy to get at. But that'll be it for today's edition of Warhammer Wednesday. And I'm not going to, again, you know, my army, I don't add to my army very much, so I'm not going to do modeling demos or model put-togethers for most Wednesdays. I will try to get some 40K games in on Wednesdays. Dawn of War, Space Marine, that sort of thing. So I hope this was instructive, and I hope I get it cut together right. So hope you enjoyed and it was helpful. So that was Magnetizing Bullgryns. Have a good afternoon.